Thank you so much for joining. Hello, Facebook. Welcome to this week's Ask Shelly segment. It's 12 o'clock, so I can go ahead and get started. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome, Instagram. This is the last Ask Shelly segment of the decade. Hey! Yes, Happy New Year to you too, love. My prayer partner, my prayer warrior. Hello, everybody. Hello, Princess Itana. Thank you for joining this week's Ask Shelly segment. I almost didn't make it on. The devil is a liar. My God, there is so much power in our declarations, and I had to declare that I would be on time for the last Ask Shelly segment of the decade. And so taking time out for family and just giving myself time to recover from the loss of one of our powerhouses in our family, my aunt, I am back. And I thank each and every one of you for your messages, your text messages, your phone calls. And for those of you who are still waiting for a reply, trust me, it's coming. I will be replying. I'm just trying to get some air here and prepare for the transition into this new decade. I am Shelly Fan, and I am the CEO and founder of Ask Shelly Consulting. And this is when I have the opportunity to provide psychoeducation to large corporations and large and small businesses, ministries, families, and individuals to take them to their next level. I believe that our breakthrough is in new information. So any of us that are doing anything that involves human beings, you need to have a high emotional intelligence quotient, and that is what I do. As a licensed psychotherapist, I am often asked many questions. So I use this platform to address a question or two that is asked by someone who chooses to follow me. It's humbling. It could be anyone that knows what it is I do, someone who has wrote into info@askshelly.com or who has contacted me through my website, www.askshelly.com. This is in no way an attempt to replace therapy, but it's a way for me to provide a perspective, another tool for you guys to add to your wellness toolbox, yes? And if it doesn't fit your bill, you can share it with someone, a family member or a friend that may need to hear it. My belief every week is that this live falls within the ear gates and eye gates of someone who needs to hear it. Therapy is a process by which a person partners with someone who is licensed and considered an expert and trained in the field to provide evidence-based interventions to get people to optimal emotional health. This is definitely not therapy. So I do encourage you to reach out to me after the live. info@askshelly.com. You could call me at 407-350-5070 and book yourself an individual Ask Shelly session. So one of the things that I love to do as an emotional intelligence consultant, like I said, is work with businesses and getting them to their next level. And so I am still working on the same project that I talked about last time. And this is getting a small business to incentivize and in a way that would get the members of her business motivated and at peak performance. It's very important that business owners invest in creating incentives for their team members. And guess what? It does not require a lot of money. It requires high emotional intelligence to understand how to motivate people. And so that is what I do. I teach on stress management and conflict resolution and personality management, all of the things that we need to know to take our businesses to the next level. On today, again, I have the privilege of sharing a question with you all. I need your feedback. I need your feedback because we are all experts within our own right, so I would love to hear from you. This week's Ask Shelly segment is, Dear Ask Shelly, I am writing because I am simply sick of expecting more for the new year. Every year, it seems to get worse. I have no hope for 2020. I do not have any questions, I suppose, but wanted to vent. Simple. I'm going to read it again. If you heard it, let me know what you think. What is your response? I feel like there are people that just kind of like, you know what, I'm just so tired of the cliche, this whole 2020 vision in 2020. People are just kind of getting tired of those, cliche slogans, those war cries, and people just feel like, I had hope going into 2015. I had great hope going into 2016. I had great hope going into 2017. I'm almost afraid to expect. Someone said that to me the other day. I brought it up on the prayer call that we have, Descendants of David. It's a community of intercessors that just want to serve God at a greater level. And during that prayer call, I had shared that there were a couple of people that have actually said that, like, I'm afraid to expect greater in 2020. The devil is a liar. So the question is, dear Ash Shelley, I am writing because I am simply sick of expecting more for the new year. Every year, it seems to get worse. I have no hope for 2020. I do not have any questions, I suppose, but wanted to vent. So what do you think, Facebook? What do you think, Instagram? Happy New Year to you too, Shireen. Thank you, Donna, for logging in. Neville, Azim, Yaprika, thank you so much. So this is a person who's saying, I really don't have hope for 2020, and I want to provide a response, and I would love for you guys to share your responses as well. So I want to start with this perspective, so you guys know where I'm coming from. Hopefully you guys can see this. My handwriting is horrible. Bam! Bam, bam, bam. Guys can see that? All right. 1 + 1 = 2. We've done this before. Is this a true statement? Yes? Is this a true statement? 1 + 1 = 2. Give me some responses. Give me some thumbs up, some hearts. Is this a true statement? 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, we're going to assume, hey Donna, Happy New Year. We're going to assume that this is a true statement, okay? And this number that I'm circling, there's got to be an easier way to do this. This number that I'm circling, we are going to assume that we cannot, Yafrika says yes, it's a true statement. Okay. So we're going to assume that we cannot change the number that's circled, okay? This second one right here, we cannot change, all right? We are able to change this first number in order to get this number to where we want it. So if we want to make this number a 50, what do we have to do? What do we have to do to get this number to be a 50? Where are you mathematicians? Hi, everybody. What do you have to do to make this number a 50? Good job. You got to change this number to a 49. Good job, Princess Itana. Look at my college. Yes. Thank you, Sandy. Yes, we got to make this a 49. So what if we have to, if we want to make this number a 1,000, what do we have to do to this number? We have to make it 999. Yes. If we want to get this number to be 500, what do we have to do to this number? Yes. Turn it into a 499. Well, look at that. We didn't need this number to get this number to where we wanted. All we needed was control over this number. When you want to change your 2, you have to start with you. When you want to change your 2, you have to start with you. We didn't need control over the other party, or control over our husband. We didn't need control over our wife. We didn't need control over our current financial situation. All we needed was the power to change ourselves to change our outcome. If you want to change your 2, you have to start with you. And so this is the perspective that I'm coming from for this person who's saying, I just don't have hope in 2020. If you want to change your 2, you have to start with you. Now, the root of all problems is unmet or are unmet expectations, okay? So the root of problems are unmet expectations. So if I have a husband and a wife that comes in for marriage counseling, we assess those unmet expectations so we can start the process of healing. But because we're coming from a, if you want to change your two, you have to start with you perspective, I am only focusing on the person who wrote in. I'm not going to ask her about her boyfriend. I'm not going to ask her about her husband. I'm not going to ask him, or I'm assuming, does she say who she, I'm assuming by the email address that this is a female, but I could be wrong, okay? So because we're coming from the perspective, if you want to change your two, you have to start with you. I'm only focusing on her. We'll talk about your relationships later on down the line, but we got to focus on you. So the root of problems are unmet expectations. And so we have to start at that place. And we have to assess three different things about the expectations that people have. And so in this particular case, I'm talking about the expectations this writer has of herself and the expectations that she has of the year, right? Which is basically referring to the atmosphere, what you are expecting to happen in your atmosphere, in your space. That's basically what it is when we're saying, when we say that we want our year to be better, we want to produce, we want outcomes, certain outcomes to come to us. And so let's assess this. So here we are. I talked about married couples. I'm going all over the place. We go back to unmet expectations and we assess three different factors when it comes to expectations. Three different factors. Number one, are the expectations realistic? Number two, were the expectations communicated? I'm talking about communicated with intention, not that you communicated your expectations in the midst of a fire argument, but you took time, you prayed on it, you communicated your expectations to the other party. And third, did the other party then commit to taking on the responsibility to meeting your stated expectation? A lot of the times when we go back to this little prescription, we can find where the infection is, whether it was never communicated. You have all of these expectations that you just assumed the other party would meet, but they were never explicitly or communicated with intention. And the other party never said, sweetie, I'll do that for you. Or honey, I will do that for you, right? So in this particular case, we're going to do the same thing with this person who has these expectations that continue to land unmet at the end of each year. This is why she's saying, I really don't have any hope for 2020. Number one, are your expectations realistic? Let me tell you something. If you have an expectation without a plan, then your expectation is unrealistic. When you are trying to make sure that your expectations become manifestations, you have to have a plan and you have to have a system of accountability. If you want your expectations to be realistic, you have to have a plan and you have to have a system for accountability. So even if your expectations are basic without a plan, they're just unrealistic. You want them to just to manifest on their own. When you want expectations to become manifestations, you need a plan and you need a system of accountability. You need people all around you. You don't need people. You need a select few that are going to pray you up, that are going to fast with you, that are going to share their social capital with you, that they're going to hold you accountable. They will praise you and they will correct you. They are committed to your growth. Listen, when you want your expectations to become manifestations, you need a plan and a system for accountability. Next, we talked about, that's the first thing with expectations. Are they realistic? So when we figure out that they're realistic because you have a plan, you have a system in place for accountability, we can move on to the next thing. Were they communicated? Listen, our words are so powerful. We have to learn how to speak things into the atmosphere. And so I need to know, what are you speaking? What are you speaking? Are you speaking death because you keep focusing on all the things that haven't happened? What have you communicated? Have you communicated these expectations to the atmosphere? What are you saying? What are you communicating? Guess what? We have to communicate to ourselves because sometimes our heart and our heads are not at the same place. So faith comes by hearing. You have to say what it is you are expecting out loud. Let it go right back through your ear gates. Faith comes by hearing. What are you saying? What are you communicating? Listen, there are so many ways to communicate your expectation to yourself. When you are meditating, when you're taking that time every morning for about 20 to 30 minutes just meditating, you are communicating to your brain to get ready. You are communicating to your mind, body, and soul, and get ready for what it is I am focusing on. This is how we communicate to ourselves. We meditate, we speak that thing out loud because faith comes by hearing, and we write it down and we make it plain. We write it down and make it plain. This is how we communicate. Listen, I'm going to go back over the same prescription as it relates to God in just a second. I'm focusing on this person's relationship with herself. Are your expectations realistic? What are you communicating? And have you told yourself that you are accepting the responsibility to meet that expectation? See, it seems so clear when we do it with other people. We want other people to say, yes, I will meet your need. Yes, I will. But we got to be able to do that for ourselves. This is your expectation. This is your plan. This is your accountability circle. You are communicating. You got it written down. You are saying those things out loud. Yes, you have it written down. This is all about a communication of expectation, making sure that your environment understands what's about to happen because you're speaking it and with the faith that it will manifest. And then the last part, have you accepted the responsibility of meeting the expectations that you have of yourself? Because when you have the plan in place, when you accept that responsibility, you are saying, I am ready to lose sleep. I am ready to cut that relationship. I am ready to change my relationship with food. I am ready to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work out. Are you ready to meet the expectations that you have for your life? You got to be ready to do it for yourself. So expectations. Lord, I'm so not good with makeup. Are my eyelashes on, y'all? Thank you, Donna. Okay, so, all right. So we talked about expectations. So we have to assess whether they're realistic. We have to assess whether they were communicated and whether the other party, in this particular case, ourselves, have accepted the responsibility to meet that expectation. We need to do the same thing with God, with our higher power, right? Are our expectations of God realistic? Are they realistic? Because sometimes we have all these expectations of God, but we are not doing our part. So we have all of these expectations of God, but we have not said yes to his will. We have not stepped into operating in purpose. We have not prioritized his kingdom assignment for our lives. So you want all these things from God, but all he's asking you is for your yes. He has been waiting for your surrender for years. You have delayed your blessings year after year after year because you have not been able to deny your flesh. But we expect so many things from God. We expect him to violate his own order and release blessings in our life that we are not ready for. Are your expectations realistic? You want a husband, but you can't cook. You want children, but you don't know any natural remedies to cure a cold. Come on now. Come on. Are your expectations realistic? And have they been communicated? There are so many times that we want things and we desire things and we are believing in God for things that we are not praying for. That we are not praying for. Are you interceding? Are you fasting? Are you getting in his face? What are you communicating? That's through prayer. And understand how prayer works. When you are making petitions to God. Oh boy, let me talk about Jesus is 12:20. Lord have mercy. When you make a petition, let me take it to the natural. When I graduated from Florida State and I did everything that I needed to do to become licensed. So I got the grades. I passed the exam. I got all of those hours. When I made a petition to the state of Florida. And that petition was, I am ready to be a licensed psychotherapist, right? That's what I said to the state of Florida. That was my petition. My petition was based on a law in this state, chapter 496, I think, that says that if you do X, Y, and Z, then you can become a licensed professional in the state of Florida. So there was a petition, an application that I made to the state. I had the right to make that application to the state based on a law that says I could do so. And guess what happened after that application? Guess what happened after I made the petition based on a law that says I had the right to do so? It was followed by a test. I told the state I'm ready. I told the state I'm ready because you said this is what I need to do to get ready. And now I have this test. And once I passed the test, I became a Florida State licensed psychotherapist. Our petitions to God is very much the same. We have to be able to know the right, the kingdom right that we have to make petitions to God. We got to be able to get into the word and say, God, you said, and I did. And so I'm making this petition, and trust and believe that after you make a petition for something that you have the right to receive, it will always be followed by a test. It will always be followed by a test. But so many times when that test comes, we take it as a sign that we don't have the right to receive what it is we ask for. No, because you have the right to receive what you ask for, you're being tested. A lot of the times our delayed blessing lies in tests that we cannot pass. I wish I had some water. I wish I had some water. Oh, God. This is totally off. I don't even know where I'm going at this particular point. So when we are going back to expectations that we had of God, were those expectations realistic? Are you truly in a position to receive? Have you communicated that? And when you've made your petitions to God, what scriptures are you declaring? What scriptures are you standing on that clearly show that you have the right to request what it is you're asking from God? And have you passed the test? The last part of expectations, right? Are they realistic? Were they communicated? And did the other party commit to meeting that expectation? The other party committed to meeting that expectation. Why? Because God says that the answers to my promises are yes and amen. And it is done. So these are areas that we often have deferred success in. And the first one was expectations. The second is in our hope. In our hope. You can hope in defeat, or you can hope in victory. You can hope in defeat, or you can hope in victory. Let me give you an example of hoping in defeat. Hoping in defeat is 2020 has just got to be better. You know, I lost family in 2019. I lost businesses in 2019. My marriage failed in 2019, and 2020 has got to be better. 2020 has got to be better. Your focus is on the defeat. Many of us focus more on the weapon and not the fact that it did not prosper. Because if you are on this live, if you even have anything in your body where you can even expect, look, this person who wrote in, the fact that you wrote in, is evidence that you have won the battle. Listen, you can hope in defeat because this horrible thing happened, and because that horrible thing happened, I need 2020 to be greater. Or you can hope in victory that although this happened, I'm still here, and although that happened, I'm still here, and although that person left, I was still successful, and although I got this doctor's report, I am living and I am breathing right now. And so because of that, I am hoping for greater in 2020. Are you hoping in defeat, or are you hoping in a spirit of victory? Too many of us focus on the weapon and not the fact that the weapon did not prosper because you're here. Because you're here. The weapon did not prosper. You are here. So we need to choose whether we're going to hope in defeat or hope in victory. And the last area, so 3 major areas that we have deferred success in, that we often have deferred success in, and because of that, we attract undesired outcomes. And the first is deferred success in our expectations. The second, deferred success in how we hope. And the third is deferred success in our thoughts. Thoughts become things, and what you attend to will continue. So at 11:55, when you are on your knees and the countdown is beginning, and you are at church and and the tears are just streaming for all of the things that you have overcome and all of the trials and the tribulations from 2019, understand that you just crossed over attending to the negative. You just crossed over attending to those areas in your life that you feel defeated in. What you attend to will continue. So if you continue to attend to the losses, if you continue to attend to the challenges, you can expect to invite them in with open arms in 2020. What you attend to will continue. And I thank God for my business partner, one of the most amazing behavior analysts in the entire Southeast region and beyond, that consistently teaches on that concept, that principle in behavior analysis, modifying behavior and increasing adaptive, healthy behaviors, that what we attend to will continue. So let's take authority. This writer, take authority. Take authority over your life and take authority over your 2020. Listen, if you're not able to do it on your own, that is why there's help. God sends us help. Godly people, powerful, anointed psychotherapists that are trained to be able to get you to renew your mind, to change the way that you think, to change the way that you behave, so you can create an atmosphere that's inviting the desired outcomes that you want to see in your life. I stand firm on the power and the effectiveness of good therapy. So don't think that you need to or should be able to do it on your own. It is okay to invite people into your personal and vulnerable space to assure that in 2020 you are experiencing the full benefit of the breakthrough that God has already released to his people. It is already done, signed, sealed, and delivered. Thank you guys so much for joining in on this week's Ask Shelly segment. Please, please, please reach out to me with your questions. I want to connect with you. Some of you actually, well, obviously you know about my page here on Facebook, Shelly Fan Fancy. So it's going to change. Oh my God, at midnight it'll be Ask Shelly. So please continue to support right here on Facebook. Instagram, thank you for supporting there. You can connect with me on www.askshelly.com. You can reach out to me at info@askshelly.com. You can call me at 407-350-5070. God is so good, and he does not lie. He's not a one-act God. He is not a one-act God. He's not a 25% God. He's not a 50% God. He's a 100% God. So I come against your disbelief right now, and I command your thoughts to come into an alignment with God's word, his authority, and his promises. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Please stay at 12 o'clock.